Okay. We'll be starting in one minute. Thank you all for taking the time to come on, and I'm happy to see that people are getting something out of these calls. So, Brother Ty, can you open up?
Oh, yes, sir. I unmuted myself. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Attention prayer. Surely I'm being turned to thee, O Allah, striving to be upright to he who originated the heavens and earth, and I'm not other polytheists. Surely my prayer and my sacrifice, my life and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. No associate has he. This I am commanded, and I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King. There is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I've been greatly unjust to myself, and I do confess my faults. So please grant me protection against all my faults, for none grants protection against faults but thee. And O Allah, lead me to the best of morals, and keep away from me the evil and indecent morals, for none else keeps away the evil and indecent morals but thee. O Allah, make Muhammad successful, and we the true followers of Muhammad successful, as thou did make Abraham successful, and the true followers of Abraham successful. For surely thou art praised and magnified forever in thy midst. And O Allah, bless Muhammad, and bless the we true followers of Muhammad, as thou did bless Abraham, and the true followers of Abraham. For surely thou art praised and magnified forever in thy midst. Amen.
All right. Thank you, my brother, and thank everybody who's on. So what I'm going to do is mute everyone, and then, Brother Jason, I'll send you the code that you can use to unmute yourself. So let me mute everybody. Okay. Second. Okay. All right. So in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, we thank Almighty God, Allah, for his coming in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. And we also thank Almighty God, Allah, for his raising up the most humble and honorable Elijah Muhammad, who we now know as to be the exalted Christ. We also thank both of them for leaving in our midst the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I thank Almighty God, Allah, for each and every one of you all who are on this call, for everything that you are doing as you engage in what we have been taught is the hardest mission. We're assisting the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who's assisting the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in what we have been taught is the hardest mission ever given to any man that ever lived. So I want to thank each and every one of you all for everything that you do, because you all are engaged in that mission while you are a father, while you are a mother, and while you're in these positions, and while you have full-time jobs. But you are doing your very best, and I thank you for that. As for those who are calling on today, we have our local student, FOI captain here in the city of New Orleans, Brother Jason Muhammad, a very good brother I admire, brother I've learned so much from and continue to learn much from. He's doing, and I admire the job and thankful for the job that he's doing here in our city of New Orleans. Our brother is going to talk about tonight how a student minister can aid the work of the student FOI captain. And the next call we're going to have how a student minister can aid the work of the student MGT captain. So he's going to talk for about 25, 30 minutes, and then, as usual, we'll open up for questions if you have any questions. And then after he finishes, I would encourage everybody, please send me a text message stating to me what you gained from this talk. And I would really appreciate that. The feedback helps us to assess what we're doing. So without further delay, I'd like to bring up our brother and your brother, Brother Jason Muhammad, the student FOI captain of Muhammad Mosque number 46 here in the city of New Orleans, Louisiana.
Brother Minister, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Merciful, I believe that Allah God appeared in the person of Master W. Farad Muhammad, July 1930, the long-awaited Messiah of the Christians and the Mahdi of the Muslims. I believe further and lastly that Allah is God, and besides him there is no God, and he will bring about a universal government of peace wherein we can all live in peace. together. I'm very thankful to Allah who came in the divine person of Master Farad Muhammad for finding that one, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, to save us all, and both of them in their supreme wisdom for selecting and providing to us the Honorable Louis Farrakhan to inform and guide us into who they are. And I can never thank Allah for allowing me to hear the Honorable Louis Farrakhan to change my life and to join the Nation of Islam. I thank all of you for listening, and I greet you. Assalamu alaikum. So I am Student Captain Jason from New Orleans, Louisiana. I want you to please excuse my accent. I do this all the time. I mention it. I have to give a disclaimer. I've been told I have a very distinctive voice. Sometimes I get excited and I run my words together, but I'm going to try to make sure that I speak as clearly as possible. Don't get too excited because I'm extremely nervous talking to the student ministers around the nation, and I want to make sure that I'm clear about what I'm saying. So to start off, if you remember one thing from what we talk about, I want you to remember this, that the minister and the captain must be friends. In addition to being friends, it is important that the goal of your work in this post is that your mission is to help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in the best way possible. So your goal has to be to help the Honorable Louis Farrakhan in the best way possible. Regardless of who is in charge, and despite the fact that the minister is the final authority, what's best for the mission and the believers should rule the house. So what I intend to do in the next 25, 30 minutes or so, inshallah, is to give some perspective on the need for an amicable and open relationship between the student minister and the student captain in an effort to ensure the captain provides as much assistance as possible to help the minister with accomplishing his vision for the city. So the objective is to help the captain help the minister. I know many people may remember that movie Jerry Maguire, where he was talking to Tom Cruise, was talking to Cuba Gooding Jr., and he was saying, help me help you. So I want to give some ways that the minister can help the student captain ultimately help him who has a vision for the city. So there's 4 components of the minister-captain relationship that I want to address that I feel will foster friendship and allow the accomplishment of objectives and provide the best atmosphere for the instructions to be followed that the minister is giving to the captain and achieve these goals. So number 1 is the alignment on the mission and objective of the Nation of Islam and the Mosque. So the minister and the captain must be aligned on the mission and objective. 2, the minister, be yourself. 3, establish friendship regardless of differences in age or personality. And 4, be patient and have faith. So in point number 1 on alignment of the mission and objective of the Nation of Islam and the Mosque, I want to start with a verse from the Holy Quran. It's Surah 4, chapter 1, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. O people, keep your duty to your Lord, who created you from a single being and created its mate of the same kind, and spread from these 2 many men and women. And keep your duty to Allah, by whom you demand one of another your rights, and to the ties of relationship. Surely Allah is ever a watcher over you. So the minister and the captain have rights. And the captain, while not in charge, does wield considerable influence in the mosque, and his opinion must be valued. So in Lost Found Muslim lesson number 2, question number 8, it asks, what makes rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes? And the answer is the earth is approximately covered underwater, approximately 3/4 of its surface. The sun and moon having attracting power on our planet, while our planet making the terrific speed of 1,037 1/3 miles on its way around the sun. And I won't read the whole thing or go through the whole lesson, but the sun and the moon have attracting power, and the minister and the captain are like the sun and the moon, and they have attracting power where they draw up out of the believer the best in them to bring them closer to Allah. And the moon, though it has no light of its own, reflects the sun and has attracting power. And do you know what one of the most important functions of the moon is? I was doing a little research, and one of the most important things the moon does is the way it stabilizes the Earth's rotation. So when the Earth rotates, it wobbles back and forth on its axis. It's like a top, but it doesn't simply spin straight up and down on the table or the floor. But without the moon, the Earth would wobble much more. This would cause extreme weather conditions, brutal seasons, and interruption in the season, meaning it's summer all year long, winter all year long. It's really a stabilizing force. And captains are like that. They help stabilize believers and give them the practical training they need to overcome the trials that arise when we attempt to do this work. But the sun is the source of life, and like the minister that constantly feeds the word to the believers to help them grow. So the two men that have attractive power must be of the same being if they are to produce many men and women who are believers. They must be children of the father, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, if they are to function properly in the mission. If the local minister reflects the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and displays love for him, then the captain is motivated to follow the instructions of the minister and find ways to get them done. So a lot of captains, we can follow instructions because we trained in military training of command. But there's a difference between following instructions and helping to achieve an objective by being innovative, anticipating barriers, and overcoming them. So men who have joined the Nation of Islam are inspired when they feel they are working to assist the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. So if you as a local minister align yourself with the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and act according to his example, then the captain is able to believe in your local vision for the city. Captains know the Honorable Louis Farrakhan is not in their city, so they need to believe that you know what you're doing by your example. I know it sounds, like I said, I'm not here to teach ministers. I know it sounds like I'm talking about the minister, but I know I'm supposed to be discussing, how you help your captain. But being a better version of yourself is the key to helping the captain. So I want to get into point number 2 that I mentioned earlier, which is be yourself. So many ministers try very, very hard to be the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, and I understand that. And sometimes we try to make the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's life our life, but that does not work. There is only one Farrakhan, but that does not mean that you as a local minister don't have value. So in my office, I have an article that the Honorable Louis Farrakhan wrote for Essence Magazine. In this article, he discusses how when he was coming up, he was a young performer. He really wanted to be Billy Eckstine. Then as he joined the Nation of Islam, he met Malcolm X. He really wanted to be Malcolm X. Eventually, as he grew to understand and know the teachings of the Most High Elijah Muhammad, he wanted to be the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He never wanted to be Louis Farrakhan. And so the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, when he realized that he did not want to be himself and finally learned to grow to love himself, he understood that his power was in being Louis Farrakhan. And so the Honorable Louis Farrakhan understood that he is not Elijah Muhammad, but that he is a different reflection of Allah, and that is his real strength. So when we constantly trying to find out, a lot of times I hear a lot of discussion who the Honorable Louis Farrakhan is. So sometimes we say, well, he's Aaron, or he's Jesus, or he's Melchizedek, or he's somebody in Scripture. We looking to find who he is. But the honest thing is, brothers and sisters, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan told us who he is. It's very, very clear who the Honorable Louis Farrakhan is. The one thing that we don't really know is who we are. And that's one thing that Honorable Louis Farrakhan has not told us. So he told us we are God, yes, but who are you personally? And so instead of spending a whole bunch of time constantly searching Scripture to find out who the Honorable Louis Farrakhan is, we should really look to find out who we are and how we can be a better version of ourselves. So the only person who knows who we are is Allah, and he's hidden that inside of us. And so when you find out who you are and act according to who you are in right, you become genuine. And if your strength is being yourself and being genuine and authentic, that makes you more believable. It makes a captain want to fight more to assist, to find ways to make sure the vision you have is for the city, to give the city to the Honorable Farrakhan, is being followed. So we have a saying in the lessons that says, can the devil fool a Muslim? And the answer, of course, is not nowadays. And so if anything, if Islam gives us anything, then it helps us to spot when someone is not being honest or truthful. And a lot of times we try to pretend that we're something that we're not. But like Cat Williams says in the little meme that Cat Williams does, it, do you know that I can see you? A lot of times people don't understand that you're not fooling anyone, that who we really are is evident. So when we be ourselves and really work to be the best version of ourselves, then the captain senses and understands who you are and works to help you because you help build love. So the third thing I talked about was being friends. So it's important that the minister and captain genuinely like one another if you're going to help him in his work and he's going to help you. So who has a person that they consider a friend that they dislike? I mean, they go together. So to define it, I wrote down a definition of a friend. It says a person attached to another by feelings of affection or personal regard, a person who gives assistance, a patron or supporter, a person who is on good terms with another, a person who is not hostile, a member of the same nation, party, etc. So spending time with friends typically makes us happy. The lessons say work cheerfully and fear not. So look, it's easier to have fun doing this work when you're soldiering with your friends. And age does not preclude individuals from being friends, and personality does not preclude individuals from being friends. We are all tied to this work because we have the most fundamental thing in common. Our belief that God is a particular man. So all of us can be friends. But how do we do that? First, you have to actually spend some time together getting to know one another. When you have a friend, that bond was forged through hours of being around one another, talking, hanging out, working, whatever. So if a minister is serious about moving the city forward, you have to actually spend time with your captain to make sure you're both on the same page and that he knows what you are trying to do. Another thing a friend does is friends listen to each other. It's important to listen to your captain and value his opinion. When you consider a man's opinion honestly, even if you don't change your course or follow the advice, knowing that you weighed what he said makes it easier to move out on instructions that they disagree with. So, for example, Minister Willie always considers what I'm suggesting, even though we do disagree a lot. But he allows me to be honest and frank and to speak freely and not get all in his feelings when we do disagree. And we do disagree, and I am not the kind of person that hold my tongue and say it in the most politically correct manner. But even when he disagrees, because I know he values my opinion, then it's easier when he says I'm doing it my way anyway for me to come to the men, to the believers, and push the instruction through as though it was mine because I know he at least considered what I said. Another thing friends do is friends share information. So some ministers like to hold information close to their chest and keep it from others because they feel that if they know more, then they are more empowered. And they think that keeping information elevates them when it actually makes it more difficult for the captain to help. The more the captain knows, the more empowered he is to help the minister's vision. Allah came to break up the secret circle and make himself known. Sometimes ministers are worried the captain is looking after their post or want to be the minister. Listen, the captain cannot take the minister's post. Nobody need to be afraid of that. Pretending that information is classified and if you share it, it's a violation of national security makes no sense. So I'm going to tell you a story when Honorable Farrakhan came to New Orleans in like 2008. I had put together a security packet that I gave to give to the E-team members and the advanced team and everyone. So when they came down, the brother, one of the members of the team asked me, well, did I type this all up myself? I said, I put it together, but someone helped me. So they said, who is it? Who helped me? And because the sister helped me type it, it was like it was a breach of security. So I said, listen, the FBI knew the Ambulance Farrakhan was coming in town because they following wherever he goes. The police knew he was coming in town. I had arranged for a police escort. Homeland Security knew he was coming in town because they had to have approval to pick him up from the tarmac. So all the enemies of the Ambulance Farrakhan knew he was coming in town, but a believer who has sworn to protect him can't know he coming in town to help make sure he get there safely and all the information is clear. That don't make any sense. So if we don't share information, then we don't empower the captain to assist us. And that's another thing that Student Minister Willie does. He shares information. He knows I can't be at the table with the Ambulance Farrakhan when he's there. That's not my post. So what does he do? He sends me his notes. He tells me what happens. He makes me feel as though I was actually there, and he's always trying to get me in. He doesn't try to keep the information for himself. He knows the more I know, the better I can help and the better version of me that I can actually be. So when you're a friend, a person will sacrifice for you. All of us have sacrificed for a friend before. Friendship brings about love, and love is the most powerful force. Some captains protect the minister because it's their duty. Like they don't want anything to happen to you because it's on their watch, but they really do not like you. They are suffering with you in the post, thinking Allah is trying them, and they're waiting for the change to come in the position. But I protect Minister Willie, speaking about myself, because I love him, because of his integrity, and I'm not hiding his indiscretions. So some ministers think they could be immoral, unethical, and a captain is supposed to cover them, that he's supposed to be loyal to them and keep all the stuff that they're doing wrong a secret. But that's not how this works. The captain is supposed to be loyal to the mission. So if you're rotten, if you're not doing good, then you should be reported. The captain is not supposed to look away while we violate our vows to Allah and the Ambulance Farrakhan. But that does not mean that the captain should condemn the minister or the minister is a bad person. I'm just trying to be clear because I don't want to feel like I'm beating up on ministers, because all I'm talking about is when we are right, when we work to be right, when we share information with the captain has something to pull from to protect the minister, to work for the minister, to go above and beyond, because the minister's vision, ultimately, if he's aligned with the Honorable Farrakhan, is going to save the city from destruction. Ministers have a tremendous amount of power. They can help guide believers and people in the city to safety. And if they really commit to being open and honest with their captain, they could make sure that he has everything he needs to be the best captain he can be, because he is executing the will and the vision of the minister. So because I have something to pull from Minister Willie's character, that if something comes against Minister Willie, I want to be the person that protects him. So I don't typically send people to go out with the minister. I like to go myself, because if something happens, I want to be there to make sure that the minister is safe. But when you don't have that type of bond, the captain is not looking to make sure what you're trying to do is accomplished. So if you want to help the captain be stronger, then you got to build friendship. Do your best to be right and allow him to understand who you are so that he can fight better to really, really help you. If you foster love and if you foster love and you be a true friend, you'll see your captain move mountains for you. So the last thing, I'm almost finished, because the last thing I want to talk about is to be patient and have faith. So many of you ministers are doing everything you're supposed to do. I recognize how difficult this job is. I know I see Minister Willie. He go up there sometimes, the mosque is almost empty. He got to give the lecture. He has to teach. He got to listen to problems from believers and balance his own home life with not enough resources and still come out there. I understand Some of you are doing everything you're supposed to be doing. You're doing as much as you can to support the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. But if you want your captain to help you, you got to be patient and have faith. A minister has to be patient and have faith. You can't act like the captain is a failure because everything doesn't happen immediately. Sometimes we might say, if I had a better captain, my work would be getting done. But that is not the case. You know, if we've been out there with our people, then you know full well how difficult it is to get them to change behavior, to get us to do what we're supposed to do. We know the personal struggle and the real struggle. Some ministers are out in the field as much as the captain. Some of us, though, some ministers only give the lecture, so it depends. You know who you are as a minister, but you understand the difficulty in achieving a goal, so you have to be patient so that the captain knows that you understand what he's struggling with, that you are helping him to do that because you're being patient. That don't mean you don't correct him. That don't mean you don't push him to do more, to be better, but that means you have to be understanding. So at the past captain retreat we went to, the Supreme Captain, Brother Mustafa, told us about a scenario when he was a young Muslim in the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. This was back in the 80s, and the Jews were talking about how they want Farrakhan and how they want him dead. And he mentioned that he got a bunch of guns and taped them underneath the car. And he talked about how he had all this stuff and everything he was going to do, and then the Honorable Louis Farrakhan found out. He said, but when Honorable Louis Farrakhan corrected him and told him that I need people with me that don't put their faith in the gun, but put their faith in Nasr Muhammad, that he don't want guns around him, he said the minister, while he spanked him a bit, he never condemned, because he knew his spirit was to protect him. He made sure that he knew that while his methodology was wrong, the Honorable Farrakhan understood his sentiment in what he was trying to do. So you have to correct your captain, but you got to be patient and understanding. We are all grown men, and men understand when, yes, they've done something wrong or they didn't achieve what they were supposed to achieve or do it in the best of manners, but you can't cut them down if you expect them to move forward on your behalf and not be bitter. So the Honorable Louis Farrakhan has given us the best example. He's been extremely patient with us. So we got to allow the captain to grow in the post. In addition to that, the captain got pressure from the National House, from Supreme Captain and the whole Supreme Captain's office about the final call distribution, all the other initiatives that we're supposed to make happen. So the minister, if you talk with your captain, not about what he's doing wrong or should do, but how you can aid him in what he's doing for our nation by using your platform. Whatever you're going to do, make sure that you decide together with the captain what will be best for you to help him. Not the minister telling the captain how you're going to help, but talk with him about it. Listen to what he got to say he would like you to do. And if it's not immoral or against the teachings, try it the captain's way and endear him to you so that when it's time for him to submit to you, he will. So to wrap it all up, I want to just recap real quick. In order to help the captain, help you as the minister, we got to have, 1, alignment on the mission and objective of the Nation of Islam in the mosque. 2, as a minister, you got to be yourself. 3, we want to establish friendship regardless of differences in age or personality. And 4, you got to be patient and have faith. So do not be the type of minister that would rather be ruined by praise instead of saved by criticism. I'm going to say that again. Some of us would rather be ruined by praise than saved by criticism. Allow your captain to disagree without taking it personal. Be authentic and genuine by being yourself. Be patient with the process of accomplishing goals and completing assignments. Align yourself with the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and live his example in your way, and you'll give the captain everything he needs to help you achieve your vision for the city and take it for the Nation of Islam. Thank you very much, brothers, for listening. I appreciate the opportunity. I pray Allah said something that made sense, and I apologize if anything I said was inaccurate or unclear. That was me, but anything that you agree with, that you thought was correct surely came from Allah. Thank you again. Assalamu alaikum.
Thanks, Ron. Thank you, Brother Jason. So right now, this is the question period. Questions. If you have any questions that you would like to ask, brother, so you can unmute your phone. Matter of fact, you can unmute your phone by pressing *6. And for those, there are some people who weren't able to make it, but the calls are recorded and we send them out. So if you have any questions, it's your opportunity to ask. And remember, please remember to send feedback. What did you get from what our brother shared today? Are there any persons that have questions?
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum. This is Brother Todd from Columbia, South Carolina. Yes, sir. What about the dynamic of a student minister that never really been through the FOI class and is not familiar with certain security measures?
Security measures as in what? Like to harassment post or on detail, or what are we talking about?
Moving him and securing him, stuff of that nature.
Well, the beautiful thing about one thing I know ministers are supposed to do is study. All believers are supposed to study, but ministers are actually feeding the believers. So any minister who may have come to be a minister without coming through the ranks does not mean you cannot learn how it is, because everybody who's a captain that knows security learned it from studying and being on particular details to get it. So the first thing you have to do is educate yourself so you know exactly what's going on and what should be happening. There's no way for you to know if security is being handled properly if you don't know how to do security, and that'd be a major issue for you. So one, I would look to find out if I was a minister who became a minister but had not come through the ranks of being a captain or a lieutenant and first officer, but became a minister by whatever reason. I would get the training by going. It does not make you less of a minister because you come in and learn and ask for someone to explain to you how something should go. Which is, matter of fact, the captain retreat we just went to, which was actually the martial arts training seminar, and they had several workshops on different security measures. So we learned things about explosive devices. We learned things about how to do the caravan. We learned things about how to do advanced protection when the Honorable Farrakhan is coming in. That was open to everyone in the Nation of Islam. There were brothers and sisters there. So ministers can attend conferences like that. All of them had PowerPoint presentations that gave definitions of the security, how it should happen. So I would say if you're a minister and you're not clear, then I would get some training on it by talking to your captain, letting him explain to you, say, man, look, teach me how we secure a venue, and then making it your business to know how you secure a venue, how you secure the mosque, so that you can know what should be happening in the city you're in. Did I answer that?
Yes, you did. Anybody have any other questions? Questions or comments? It's your opportunity to ask. Just unmute your phone, *6. You can ask the question. Sometimes it takes a minute to do it. So any other questions? If they're,
yes, sir.
If they're not, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, brother minister. Yes, sir. How you doing there, brother? I was able to. I'll let the sister go.
Praise Malika Salam, sir. This is Sister Christina from Austin, Texas, Muhammad Bas number 64. I just wanted to hear, I was listening to your presentation, which was really wonderful and great, and I did hear you speak about security measures with the minister and the captain. But I wanted to hear you a little bit more, brother, if you can go into the sister side and the relationship between the sister side and dealing with the captain and also the minister. You mentioned that, we must be friends with one another, and you mentioned about hiding and keeping information and not being able to give that information. But I do believe that there is a two-way. There's things that the brother captain needs to know, and also the things the sister captain needs to know, and different things, what would actually happen when those things are not given So you can kind of go into that and kind of bring in the sister captain a little bit more. I really appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So, without a doubt, Sister Christina, you're 100% correct. And sometimes what we do as brothers, we undervalue the contribution of the sisters and how significant they are into making anything that we do successful. So I absolutely agree that information has to be shared with the MGT side if we're going to be successful in what we're doing. While we have different roles, but the MGT has to be involved. So what I do, and what we attempt to do, at least in New Orleans, is we try to have a meeting, especially when something's going on, so everybody is aware of what's happening. I believe in clear and open communication, and obviously so does Student Minister Willie. So what has to happen is MGT captain needs to be as briefed as the brother captain. She has to know exactly. Like I say, it makes no sense to keep information from the MGT captain, who is also responsible for helping secure the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, whether it's with his food, whether it's his family who comes down with him. They should know where he's going to be, what we're doing, what type of post assignments, because sometimes, a lot of time, we need sisters in the hotel room. We have to bring things up to the hotel room. Sometimes MGT go places the brothers cannot go. So absolutely, the MGT need to be informed. The brother captain and the sister captain, Minister Willie would have to speak more about how a minister relates to the sister captain, but from a captain perspective, the captain to the sister captain, or brother captain to sister captain, they got to be friends also. They have to be open and talk to one another. And the blessing in New Orleans is that I am very, very close to Sister Lenora, who's our sister captain. She used to watch my children when they were first born. But she and I have a very open relationship. We talk all the time, and I do my best to make sure she's informed so that we can move forward together. So yes, ma'am, you're absolutely correct. The MGT captain has to be in a loop on everything that's going on in the mosque.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you. And Minister, if I can just say this really quickly, along with this was wonderful, and I do see and I hear, and I pray that you will be the leader in this. I see an MGT FOI, Brother Sister Captain, retreat, and how we can become close to one another, things that we can learn to work together so we can be very successful. Because a lot of times there may be issues with the sister captain and brother captain, and there is no communication, and the mosque cannot grow if that is not the case. So, praise be to Allah. Thank you, that was excellent.
Thank you, sis. Thank you, Sister Christina. Somebody else was about to ask a question.
Yes, sir. Assalamu
alaikum.
Yes, sir. It's Brother Abram, Jackson, Mississippi, Muhammad 78. How y'all doing, brothers and sisters?
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Brother, I just want to say, excuse the background noise. I'm at the airport trying to make it back to the great state of Mississippi to receive our illustrious Southwest Regional Representative, Brother Halim Muhammad, coming into the great state of Mississippi tomorrow. But I just want to say, Cap, I really appreciate your exegesis of the relationship of the captain and the minister, and it really reminded me of certain aspects of things that I need to make sure that I'm doing to foster a better and closer, tighter-knit relationship with my man. That relationship, being a former captain myself for 6 years, I know exactly what it's like to be in that situation, and I know the demands of it. And I can honestly say, for the ministry class, we appreciate all that you all do. And thank you for reminding me of certain aspects of what I need to do from this side of the mission to better help my brother, and which thus will be better helping the city and ultimately our nation. So great job tonight. Thank you, dear brother.
All praise is due to Allah. Thank you, sir.
And keep up the good work, brother. Mr. Willie. A great job, man, doing these calls and gathering this information. I just thank Allah for your mind. As I always tell you, brother, your brilliancy and just your forward thinking and doing what's necessary that will move us forward, brother. So I pray for the continued success of what you're doing, and I look forward to getting with you soon.
Oh, for sure. All praise is due to Allah, man, and thank you and everybody else on the phone for what they do as well. Are there any other questions while our brother is on? Any other questions? So Brother Jason, it seems like that's all of the questions. So we will ask for those who are on, please take a few minutes and just send me a text message of what you gained from tonight's discussion. And some people have sent the text already, so I would ask that you send more. On the next one we're having, which will be on the 24th, Allah willing, August the 24th, we're going to have the same title, but this time it will be from the standpoint of from the student MGT captain, and I'm waiting for our sister to respond back to let me know if she can do it. So, thank you all. We'll be sending out the audio, and if you all know anybody else who you think could benefit from these calls, just have them, send me a text or an email to let me know who they are, what city they are in, and we can get them involved as well. So because these are real. This is not an official ministry class, but it is still connecting us, those of us who come on the call, with information that can really help us to improve in our labor. Thank you, Brother Ty. Thank you for your question and your comment. So,
Assalamu
thank
alaikum.
you. Walaikum salam. Is that the great Sister Betty?
No, sir.
No.
This is not Sister Betty. This is Sister Beverly.
I apologize, Beverly. Thank you, Sister. Well, before you say something, Sister Beverly, I want to say to you and your husband, I know you probably remember I first met you all in Baton Rouge, and you all was under my administration. You all were the first people that I've ever invited down, and what you shared and your husband shared has continuously helped me from that point up until this time. So thank you and your husband, Brother Tim. Thank you, Sister Beverly. Go ahead with your question, your comment.
I thank you, and may Allah continue to bless you, your work in bringing us together every other evening for these marvelous pearls of knowledge and wisdom and sharing our best practices. Thank you so very much, Brother Willie. We have watched you grow, and we love you and continue to pray for you, your family, and all the believers. Your brother captain.
Yes, ma'am.
Brother Captain Jason, I believe it is.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I salute you, sir. I am a captain's wife. I'm Captain Tim's wife.
Yes, ma'am.
Of the Dope Busters.
Yes,
and,
ma'am.
He was on his way to work, and I want you to know that he levitated to the car because you filled his heart with so much spirit. And he said, that's a captain. And that meant a lot to me because I know, being a captain's wife, what it means for the man to carry the weight of the mosque on his shoulders for the security. You're very clear in what you say. So I know you're very clear in giving people proper instructions. And that comes with the spirit that I hear in your heart. I know the people are getting the instructions in the right spirit. Continue, brothers. You are made for that post. I want you to know, as a captain's wife, as Brother Captain Tim's wife, I salute you, Brother Captain, and I thank Allah for you. I would like to also share something else. One of the things I believe that made us so successful when we were in D.C., fighting the drug boys, but also uniting the community in general, is that at least once a week, it doesn't have to be once a week, but we made it once a week, Brother Tim called a meeting of all the captain, the sister captain himself, called a meeting of all the lieutenants. And the sister lieutenants and the brother lieutenants met and discussed on how they would work together, discuss how to set up security for the minister, discuss how to create a family atmosphere in the mosque, discuss the security of the believers, and it became a very well-oiled machine. So I hope and pray that will give a good suggestion to your great and mighty work. Because when the lieutenants get together and they see the sister captain and the brother captain working for the good of all of the laborers and believers in the mosque and working like a left hand, right hand, left hand at marked time, it will give the mosque a singular mindset, a singular psychology to do the work of raising the dead and also of protecting the love that we should have as we work with one another. I thank you. I have thoroughly enjoyed you, and so has my husband. Assalamu alaikum.
All praise is due to Allah. Sister Walaikum Salam, thank you so very much. I am thankful to Allah that I said something that made sense and I didn't embarrass myself or my local student minister coming up on this call. And I think what you suggested and said about the brother lieutenants and the sister lieutenants meeting is a tremendous idea. Just like I think what Sister Christina said, with a retreat for the brother captain and sister captain is another tremendous idea, because if we really want to be successful, the brothers and the sisters have to work in conjunction with one another to really accomplish whatever vision Allah blesses the local minister to have for the city that could best get that city in over to the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. So I thank you. All praise is due to Allah, but I think both the suggestions were tremendous, and inshallah I'm going to implement that in the city of New Orleans as soon as possible.
Praise be to Allah.
Thank you, Sister Beverly. Does anybody else have any questions? And we're almost approaching that 9 o'clock hour. But thank you all, and thank you again, Brother Jason, and thank everybody who had a question and made a comment. And once again, I'll just ask, please send your feedback, what you got out of tonight's talk. And we thank you all for calling in, and you'll be having the information that will come out to let you know what's the next, who will be the next presenter. So may Allah continue to bless each and every one of you all. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Wa alaikum salam, sir. Thank you.